I turned 17 on a Friday in November, and my mom tried to make it special. She'd picked the restaurant, one of those chain places with fake vintage signs and servers who sing for birthdays. I didn't mind. It was better than staying home. My dad had been quiet all through dinner. Not unusual. My little brother Kyle was 9 and didn't notice. He was building a fort out of sugar packets while Mom tried to get him to eat his chicken fingers. The server brought out the dessert Mom had ordered, a massive brownie sundae with a sparkler on top. The servers gathered to sing. I wanted to disappear. They sang. I smiled. Kyle laughed at the sparkler. Mom took a picture. My dad didn't look up from his phone. When the song ended and the servers walked away, Kyle reached across the table and tried to grab the cherry off the top of the sundae. "That's Audrey's," Mom said, but she was smiling. "She doesn't even like cherries," Kyle said. "Still hers." Kyle sat back, pouting, and then he looked at my dad like he was searching for backup. "When I turn 17, can I get the big sundae?" My dad finally looked up. He glanced at me, then at Kyle, and something shifted in his face. It wasn't anger exactly. It was colder than that. "You'll get whatever you want, buddy," he said. "You're actually mine." The table went still. Mom's smile froze. "Tom." "What?" He set his phone down, and now he was looking right at me. "She's 17. She's old enough to hear it." I felt my chest tighten. "Hear what?" "Tom, stop." Mom's voice was low, urgent. But he didn't stop. He leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, and he looked at me like I was something he'd been waiting to get rid of for years. "You're not mine, Audrey. Never were. Just another man's mistake I've been paying for." The words landed like a slap. Kyle looked confused. Mom looked like she was about to cry. And I just sat there, staring at the man who'd raised me, who'd driven me to school and signed my report cards and sat through my middle school band concerts, and I realized I didn't know him at all. Or maybe I'd always known, and I'd just been pretending I didn't. "You don't mean that," I said, but my voice sounded small. "I mean every word." He picked his phone back up. "Your mom can explain the rest. I'm done pretending." Mom reached for my hand across the table, but I pulled away. I stood up so fast my chair scraped against the floor, loud enough that the people at the next table looked over. "Audrey, wait," Mom said. I didn't wait. I grabbed my jacket off the back of the chair and walked straight through the restaurant, past the hostess stand, past the fake vintage signs, and out into the parking lot. The cold air hit me, sharp enough to sting. I kept walking past the rows of cars until I reached the edge of the lot. I didn't cry, just this hollow feeling, like someone had scooped out everything that used to be there. I heard footsteps behind me and assumed it was Mom, coming to apologize or explain or do whatever she thought would fix this. But when I turned around, it wasn't her. It was a man I didn't recognize. He was standing a few feet away, hands in his jacket pockets. He was maybe 40, with dark hair graying at the temples and a careful face, like he was used to measuring his words. "Audrey," he said. I took a step back. "Do I know you?" "No." He didn't move closer. "But I know you." That should have scared me. It should have sent me running back toward the restaurant, back toward the lights and the people. But something in his voice stopped me. He didn't sound threatening. He sounded sad. "I'm sorry," he said. "I've been waiting for the right time, and there's never a right time. Then I saw you walk out and thought maybe this was it." "The right time for what?" He hesitated, and I saw him take a breath like he was steadying himself. "My name is David," he said, "and I'm your father." I laughed. I couldn't help it. It came out sharp and bitter, and I saw him flinch. "My father just told me I'm not his," I said. "So forgive me if I'm not in the mood for whatever this is." "I know what he said." David's voice was quiet. "I heard him." "You were listening?" "I was waiting." He pulled an envelope from his jacket pocket, folded and worn. "I didn't know he was going to say that tonight, but I've been waiting for years, Audrey. Waiting for a chance to tell you the truth." I stared at the envelope. What truth? That you're mine. He held it out toward me, but he didn't step closer. Your mom and I, we were together before she married Tom. She didn't tell me she was pregnant. I didn't find out about you until you were 5 years old, and by then, she'd made it clear I wasn't welcome. But I never stopped checking in. I never stopped wanting to know you. I didn't take the envelope. I just stood there, trying to make sense of what he was saying, trying to fit it into the shape of my life, and it wouldn't fit. This is insane, I said. I know how it sounds. He lowered his hand but didn't put the envelope away. There are photos in here. A letter I wrote when you were 7. A DNA test I had done a few years ago when I finally got a sample. I'm not asking you to believe me right now. I'm just asking you to look. Behind me, I heard the restaurant door open. Mom's voice calling my name. David heard it too. He glanced past me toward the light, then back at me. There's a diner 2 blocks east of here, he said. I'll be there for the next hour. If you want to know the truth, come find me. If you don't, I'll understand. He set the envelope down on the hood of the car next to us, then turned and walked toward a sedan parked at the far end of the lot. I watched him get in, watched the headlights come on, watched him pull out onto the street and disappear. Mom was getting closer. I could hear her heels on the asphalt. I grabbed the envelope and shoved it into my jacket pocket just as she reached me. Audrey, I'm so sorry, she said. Her face was blotchy, her eyes red. He didn't mean it. He's just upset. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I wondered how many other things she'd been lying about. Who's David? I asked. Her face went pale. What? David, I said again. Who is he? She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. And in that silence, I got my answer. I turned and started walking toward the street. Audrey, wait, please, she called after me, but I didn't stop. I had a diner to get to. I didn't go back inside. I texted Mom that I needed space, then turned off my phone before she could call. The envelope felt heavy in my pocket. I pulled it out under a streetlight 2 blocks from the restaurant. My hands were shaking. Inside were photos, old ones, printed on actual photo paper. A little girl on a playground, maybe 6, wearing a purple jacket I remembered. Me on the swings, mid-flight, laughing. I didn't remember anyone taking that photo. Another from a soccer game. I was 10, muddy cleats, ponytail falling out. There were more. Me at a school concert in 8th grade, outside the library in 9th grade, last year, leaving the coffee shop where I worked weekends. Someone had been watching me my whole life, and I'd never known. There was a letter too, folded small, dated from when I was 7. I didn't read it yet. At the bottom was a document with a lab logo, DNA paternity test. Probability of paternity, 99.97%. I stood there under the streetlight, staring at a number that rewrote my entire life. The diner was 2 blocks east. I could see the glow of it from where I stood, the neon sign buzzing in the dark. I started walking. The diner was one of those old places that looked frozen in the 70s. Red vinyl booths, checkered floor, a jukebox in the corner, nearly empty. A waitress looked up when I walked in but didn't say anything. David was in the back booth, just like he'd said. He had a cup of coffee in front of him, untouched. When he saw me, he didn't smile. He just nodded, like he'd been expecting me but wasn't sure I'd actually come. I slid into the seat across from him. "You came," he said. "You've been following me." It came out sharper than I meant it to. "Not following," he said carefully. "Checking in. There's a difference." "Is there?" He looked down at his coffee. "I know how it sounds. I know how it looks. But I never got close enough to scare you. I never tried to talk to you. I just needed to know you were okay." For 17 years. For 17 years. I set the envelope on the table between us. "Why now?" "Because you're almost 18, he said. "Once you're 18, I can't use the excuse that I'm waiting for the right time. You'll be an adult. You'll have the right to know, and I'll have run out of reasons not to tell you." "My mom knew you were doing this?" His jaw tightened. "No." Does she know you're here tonight? Not until you asked her who I was. I thought about the look on her face when I'd said his name, the way all the color had drained out of it. She lied to me, I said. She made a choice, David said. I don't agree with it, but I understand why she did it. Do you? She was scared. He looked up at me, and I saw old pain in his face. We were young. She got pregnant and panicked. She was already engaged to Tom. He had a job, a house, a plan. I was 22, working construction. She thought she was doing the right thing. By lying? By giving you stability. I laughed, bitter. Stability. You heard what he said to me tonight. Does that sound stable to you? David's expression darkened. I heard. How long have you known he hated me? I didn't know he hated you. I knew he resented you. There's a difference. Not from where I'm sitting. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I've been paying child support since you were 5. Quietly, through a lawyer. Your mom never told Tom, but he found out a few years ago. That's when things got worse, wasn't it? I thought back. I was 12 when my dad started pulling away, stopped coming to my games, stopped asking about school. How did you know that? Because that's when your mom called me, David said. She told me to stop, said the payments were causing problems. I told her I wasn't going to stop supporting my daughter just because her husband couldn't handle his ego. My daughter. The words landed strange. I'm not your daughter, I said. I don't even know you. You're right, he said. You don't. And I'm not asking you to call me dad or to pretend the last 17 years didn't happen. I'm just asking you to let me tell you the truth. That's all. The waitress came over and asked if I wanted anything. I ordered coffee I didn't want, just to have something to do with my hands. When she left, I looked at David. Really looked at him. I tried to find myself in his face, the shape of his eyes maybe, the line of his jaw. Why didn't you fight for me? I asked. When I was 5, when you found out, why didn't you take her to court? I tried, he said. I got a lawyer, filed for paternity testing, visitation rights. Your mom fought back, said it would traumatize you. The lawyer told me I'd probably win eventually, but it would take years and cost money I didn't have. You'd be stuck in the middle of a war. So you just gave up? I made a choice, he said. Maybe the wrong one. I don't know. I thought if I stayed close enough to make sure you were safe, but far enough away that I wasn't disrupting your life, that was the best I could do. That's not good enough. I know. We sat there in silence. The jukebox in the corner flickered, and somewhere in the kitchen, a dish clattered. I have questions, I said finally. I'll answer all of them. Why did my mom pick him over you? David smiled, sad. Because he was the safer choice, and because she didn't love me the way I loved her. Did you love her? I did, for a long time. Do you still? No, he said, but I'll always be grateful to her, because she gave me you. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just sat there, holding my coffee cup, trying to figure out if anything in my life had ever been real. We stayed at the diner for another hour. David answered every question I asked, and I asked a lot of them. He told me about meeting my mom. They'd worked together at a restaurant the summer before she got engaged. She was a server, he was in the kitchen. They'd started talking during smoke breaks, even though neither of them smoked. It was just an excuse to get outside. It wasn't serious, he said. At least, I didn't think it was. We were just kids. But then she stopped showing up for shifts, and I found out later she'd quit to plan her wedding. Did you know she was engaged? Not at first. He looked uncomfortable. She told me eventually. By then, we'd already crossed a line we shouldn't have. And she just married him anyway? She loved him, David said. Or she thought she did. I think she was more in love with the idea of the life he could give her. Stability, security, things I couldn't offer. But she got pregnant. She did, and she made a choice. He paused. I'm not saying it was the right choice, but I understand why she made it. I wrapped my hands around my coffee cup. It had gone cold, but I didn't care. When did you find out about me? You were 5, he said. I ran into your mom at a grocery store. You were with her. I saw you, and I just knew. You had my eyes, my mom's nose. I asked her point blank if you were mine, and she didn't deny it. She just asked me not to make it complicated. What did you do? I made it complicated. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. I hired a lawyer, demanded a paternity test. Your mom panicked. Tom got involved. They threatened to file a restraining order if I didn't back off, said I was harassing them. Were you? I was desperate, he said. I'd just found out I had a daughter, and they were telling me I couldn't be part of your life. So yeah, I pushed. Maybe too hard. But you stopped. I stopped pushing legally, he said. But I didn't stop caring. I couldn't. He pulled out his phone and opened the photo app, scrolled back years. Then he handed it to me. The screen showed a little girl at a playground. Me, 6 years old, hanging upside down from the monkey bars. My face was red from the blood rushing to my head, and I was laughing. I took that one, he said. I was sitting on a bench about 50 feet away, far enough that you wouldn't notice me, close enough that I could see you were happy. I scrolled through more photos. Me at 7, building a snowman. Me at 8, riding my bike. Me at 9, walking into school with a backpack almost as big as I was. You were at all of these? Not all, he said, but a lot. I'd check your school's website for event schedules. Your mom posted things on Facebook before she made her account private. I'd show up, stay in the back, leave before anyone noticed. It should have felt creepy. It should have scared me. But instead, I just felt sad. Sad for him, sad for me, sad for all the years we'd lost, because the adults in my life couldn't figure out how to tell the truth. Did you ever try to talk to me? Once, he said. You were 10. You were at a soccer game and you scored a goal. I was so proud I almost ran onto the field. But then I saw Tom on the sidelines, and I remembered I wasn't supposed to be there. So I left. He wouldn't have recognized you. Maybe not, but your mom would have. And I didn't want to cause a scene. Not at your game. I handed his phone back. This is insane. I know. You've been watching me my whole life, and I had no idea. I'm sorry, he said. I know how it sounds, but I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't be your dad, but I couldn't just disappear either. Why not? The question came out harsher than I meant it to. Why not just move on? Find someone else? Have other kids? Forget about me? Because you're my daughter, he said simply. And I don't know how to forget that. I looked down at the table. There was a crack in the laminate, a thin line running from one edge to the other. I traced it with my finger. Do you have other kids? I asked. No. Why not? Because I kept hoping that one day I'd get to know you, he said, and I didn't want you to feel like you were being replaced. That's not fair to you. Maybe not, but it was my choice. The waitress came by and refilled David's coffee. She glanced at me, then at him, like she was trying to figure out our relationship. I wondered what she saw. A father and daughter? Strangers? Something in between? When she left, I asked the question I'd been avoiding. What do you want from me? David looked at me for a long moment. Then he said, Nothing. Nothing? I don't want you to call me Dad. I don't want you to choose me over Tom, even though he doesn't deserve you. I don't want to disrupt your life any more than it's already been disrupted. He leaned forward slightly. I just want you to know the truth. That's all. What you do with it is up to you. And if I decide I don't want to see you again? Then I'll respect that, he said. But I hope you won't. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to walk out of the diner and never look back, pretend this night never happened, go back to the life I knew, even if it was built on lies. But another part of me, a bigger part, wanted to stay, wanted to ask more questions, wanted to know this man who'd been watching me from a distance for 12 years. I need time, I said finally. Take all the time you need. And I need to talk to my mom. I understand. I stood up. David stood too. Thank you, I said, for telling me. Thank you for listening. I walked toward the door, then stopped and turned back. David? Yeah? That letter in the envelope, the one from when I was 7, what does it say? He smiled, sad again. It says I watched you learn to ride a bike, that I was proud of you, that I wished I could have been there to help when you fell. My throat tightened. I fell a lot. I know. I saw. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak, and walked out into the night. The air was colder now. I could see my breath. I pulled out my phone and turned it back on. 17 missed calls from Mom, 12 texts, 3 voicemails. I didn't listen to any of them. Instead, I started walking. Not back to the restaurant, not home, just walking, trying to make sense of a life that had been rewritten in the space of 2 hours. My phone buzzed. Another text from Mom. Please come home. We need to talk. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back. I know about David. I know everything, and I'm not ready to talk yet. I hit send before I could change my mind. 3 dots appeared immediately. She was typing. Then they disappeared. Then appeared again. Finally, a message came through. I'm so sorry, Audrey. I'm so sorry. I turned off my phone again and kept walking. Somewhere in the distance, I heard a train whistle. The sound carried across the cold air, lonely and far away. I thought about David sitting in that diner, watching me leave. I thought about my mom at home, probably crying. I thought about Tom, who'd raised me for 17 years and still couldn't love me. And I thought about myself, about who I was, about who I'd always thought I was. That person didn't exist anymore. I didn't know who I was now, but I was going to find out. I ended up at my friend Jenna's house. Her parents were out, and she didn't ask questions when I showed up at 10:30, looking wrecked. You okay? She asked. Not really. Want to talk about it? Not yet. She made space for me on the couch. We watched bad reality TV until I fell asleep. The next morning, I woke up to sun through the window and the smell of coffee. Jenna brought over a mug. Your mom called me 3 times, she said. What did you tell her? That you were here and safe. Thanks. She sat down. You want to tell me what happened? So I did. The birthday dinner, Tom's words, David in the parking lot, the photos, the diner, all of it. When I finished, Jenna was quiet for a long time. That's heavy, she said finally. Yeah. What are you going to do? I don't know. I need to read the letter. I'd been carrying the envelope in my jacket pocket all night. I pulled it out and found the letter inside. The paper was thin, torn from a spiral notebook. The handwriting was careful. It was dated 12 years ago. Dear Audrey, you're 7 years old today. I watched you at the park this afternoon. You were learning to ride a bike without training wheels. Your mom was there, and so was Tom. He was holding the back of the seat, running alongside you. You fell 3 times. Each time you got back up. You didn't cry. You just brushed off your knees and tried again. I wanted to run over and help. I wanted to be the one holding the bike, the one telling you that you could do it. But I stayed on the bench 50 feet away, and I watched you figure it out on your own. On your 4th try, you made it all the way across the parking lot. You were so proud. I was proud too. I know I'm not part of your life. I know I made choices that led to that, and I have to live with them. But I want you to know that I see you. I see how brave you are. I see how hard you try. I hope one day I'll get to tell you that in person. Until then, I'll keep watching from a distance. I'll keep being proud of you. Happy birthday, Audrey. Love, David. I read it twice, then a 3rd time. By the 4th, my hands were shaking. What does it say? Jenna asked quietly. I handed it to her. She read it, and when she looked up, her eyes were wet. He really loves you, she said. He doesn't even know me. He's been watching you for 12 years. That's not nothing. I took the letter back and folded it carefully. My whole life is a lie. Not your whole life, Jenna said. Just the part about who your dad is. That's a pretty big part. Yeah, it is. I stayed at Jenna's until noon. Then I couldn't avoid it anymore. I had to go home. Mom's car was in the driveway when I pulled up. So was Tom's truck. I sat in my car for 5 minutes, working up the courage. Finally, I got out and walked to the door. Mom opened it before I could knock. Her eyes were red and swollen. She looked like she hadn't slept. "Audrey," she said, and her voice broke. "We need to talk," I said. She nodded and stepped aside to let me in. Tom was in the living room, sitting in his usual chair. He didn't look at me when I walked in. I stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "I want the truth. All of it." Mom sat down on the couch. She looked small, like she'd shrunk overnight. "What did David tell you?" she asked. "Everything. But I want to hear it from you." She took a shaky breath. "I met David the summer before I got engaged. We worked together. We got close. Too close. You had an affair." "It wasn't an affair. Tom and I weren't married yet. But yes, I was engaged. And yes, I slept with someone else." "And you got pregnant?" "I did. By the time I figured it out, I was already married. I thought maybe the baby was Tom's. The timing was close. But it wasn't." "No." She looked at Tom. "We did a paternity test when you were 2. I turned to Tom. "You've known since I was 2? He still didn't look at me. "Yeah. And you stayed." "Your mom asked me to." "Why?" "Because I loved her," he said. "And I thought I could love you too." "But you couldn't." Finally, he looked at me. "I tried. For a long time. But every time I looked at you, I saw him. I saw what she did. That's not my fault. I know that." His voice was flat. "But knowing it and feeling it are 2 different things." Mom was crying now. "I'm so sorry, Audrey. I thought I was protecting you. I thought if we just kept it quiet, if we just acted like a normal family, everything would be okay." "But it wasn't okay," I said. "I grew up in a house where my own father couldn't stand to look at me, and I didn't even know why." I know, and I'm sorry." I turned back to Tom. "David said he's been paying child support. Is that true?" Tom's jaw tightened. "Yeah." "For how long?" "Since you were 5, Mom said quietly. "He insisted. I tried to tell him it wasn't necessary, but he wouldn't stop." "And you didn't tell Tom?" "I did, eventually. When you were 12, he found the bank statements." That explained everything. The year everything changed. The year Tom stopped pretending. "So you've been taking money from David for 12 years, I said. "Money that was meant for me. And you let Tom resent me for it." "It wasn't like that," Mom said. "Then what was it like?" She didn't have an answer. I looked at both of them. These people who'd raised me. These people who'd lied to me for 17 years. "I met him," I said. "David. We talked for hours. And you know what? He was more honest with me in one night than either of you have been in my entire life." "Audrey, please," Mom said. "He told me he wanted to be part of my life, that you threatened him with a restraining order, that you made him stay away." "We were trying to protect you," she said. "From what? From having a father who actually wanted me?" Tom stood up. "I'm done with this conversation." "Of course you are," I said. "You've been done with me since I was 12. He walked past me without another word. A minute later, I heard the front door slam and his truck start up. Mom and I sat in silence. "What do you want me to say?" she asked finally. "I want you to tell me why," I said. "Why you lied. Why you kept him away. Why you let me grow up thinking I was the problem." "Because I was scared," she said. I was scared of losing Tom. I was scared of what people would think. I was scared of admitting I'd made a mistake. I'm not a mistake. I know that now, she said, but back then I was young and stupid and terrified, and I made choices I can't take back. I stood up. I need some space. Where are you going? I don't know yet, but I can't be here right now. Audrey, please don't leave like this. You don't get to ask me to stay, I said, not after everything. I walked out before she could say anything else. I drove around for an hour after leaving the house. No destination. I ended up at the park where David had taken that photo of me on the bike. It looked smaller than I remembered. The playground equipment was old, the paint chipped, but the parking lot was the same. I could picture myself at 7, wobbly on 2 wheels, determined not to give up. I parked and sat on one of the benches, the same bench, maybe, where David had sat 12 years ago, watching me, being proud of me, wishing he could help. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. This is David. Your mom gave me your number. I hope that's okay. Just wanted to check in. No pressure to respond. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back. I'm at the park. The one from the photo. 3 dots appeared immediately. The one where you learned to ride a bike? Yeah. A pause. Then, can I come? Or do you need space? I thought about it. Then, you can come. 20 minutes later, his car pulled into the parking lot. He got out slowly, like he wasn't sure if I'd changed my mind. I waved him over. He sat down on the bench next to me, leaving space between us. I used to sit right here, he said, looking at the playground. I know. You wrote about it in the letter. You read it? This morning. He nodded. I wrote a lot of letters over the years. Never sent any of them. Didn't seem fair to you. Why not? Because you didn't ask for any of this, he said. You didn't ask to have a father who couldn't be there. You didn't ask to be caught in the middle of adult mistakes. I didn't want to make it worse by forcing myself into your life through letters you didn't want. I would have wanted them, I said quietly. He looked at me. You think so? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. But I would have wanted the choice. We sat in silence for a while. A couple of kids were playing on the swings, their mom watching from another bench. I went home this morning, I said. Talked to my mom and Tom. How did that go? About as well as you'd expect. I pulled my knees up to my chest. Tom admitted he's known since I was 2. My mom admitted everything, and I realized my entire childhood was built on everyone knowing the truth except me. I'm sorry, David said. It's not your fault. Isn't it? If I'd fought harder, if I'd pushed back when they threatened legal action, maybe things would have been different. Or maybe they would have been worse, I said. I've been thinking about that, about what would have happened if you'd taken them to court, if I'd grown up knowing I had 2 dads who hated each other, if every holiday and birthday had been a custody battle. You think I made the right choice? I think you made a choice, I said. I don't know if it was right or wrong, but I understand why you made it. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, What do you want, Audrey? From me, from this situation. What do you need? I don't know yet, I admitted. Part of me wants to get to know you. Part of me wants to pretend this never happened and go back to my normal life. And part of me knows there's no normal life to go back to. That's fair. I'm angry, I said. At my mom, at Tom, at you, at everyone. I'm angry that I had to find out this way. I'm angry that I spent 17 years feeling like I wasn't good enough, and it turns out it was never about me. It was about their lies and their guilt and their inability to deal with their own mess. You have every right to be angry. But I'm also grateful, I said, which makes me even angrier, because how messed up is that? I'm grateful that my dad humiliated me at my birthday dinner, because if he hadn't, I might have gone my whole life not knowing the truth. That's not messed up, David said. That's just complicated. And complicated is okay. I looked at him. Do you want to be my dad? He took a breath. I want to be whatever you need me to be. If that's a dad, then yes. If that's just someone who's there when you need to talk, then that's okay too. I'm not trying to replace Tom, even though he doesn't deserve you. I'm just trying to be present. Finally. I don't know what I need yet. Then we'll figure it out together, he said. No pressure, no expectations, just honesty. Honesty, I repeated. That would be a nice change. We sat there for another hour, talking about small things. He told me about his job, his apartment, his life. I told him about school, my friends, my plans for after graduation. It felt strange and normal at the same time. When the sun started to set, he stood up. I should let you go, he said, but I'm glad you texted me. Me too. He hesitated, then said, Can I give you my address? In case you ever want to stop by. No pressure, just an open invitation. Okay. He wrote it down on a piece of paper and handed it to me. Then he walked back to his car. I sat on the bench for a while longer, watching the sky turn orange and pink. The kids on the playground were gone now. The park was quiet. I thought about the little girl who'd learned to ride a bike here, the one who'd fallen 3 times and gotten back up, the one who'd been so proud when she finally made it across the parking lot. She'd been brave then. She'd have to be brave now, too. I pulled out my phone and texted my mom. I need some time. I'm not ready to come home yet, but I'm okay. Her response came immediately. I understand. I love you, Audrey. I'm so sorry. I didn't respond. I wasn't ready to say I loved her back. Maybe I would be eventually. Maybe not. I texted Jenna next. Can I stay with you for a few more days? Her response was instant. As long as you need. Then I texted David. Thank you for today. For being honest. For waiting. His response took longer, but when it came, it made my throat tight. Thank you for giving me a chance. I won't waste it. I put my phone away and stood up. The park was almost dark now. I walked back to my car, got in, and sat there for a minute. Then I started the engine and turned on the headlights. They cut through the darkness, bright and clear. I didn't know where I was going yet. But for the first time in my life, I was the one choosing the direction. I stayed at Jenna's for 3 more days. On the 4th day, David called. I've been thinking, he said. You can't stay at your friend's house forever, and I don't think you're ready to go back home. I'm not. My sister lives about 20 minutes from you. She has a guest room. I asked if you could stay there for a while, and she said yes. No pressure, but the offer's there if you want it. I thought about it. Going back home meant facing Mom's guilt and Tom's resentment every day. Staying at Jenna's meant imposing on her family. But staying with David's sister, someone I'd never met, felt like stepping into a completely new life. I don't even know her, I said. Her name's Rachel. She's a teacher. She's kind. And she knows the whole story. She won't push you to talk about it if you don't want to. Why would she do this for me? Because you're family, David said simply. And because she's been mad at me for 12 years for not fighting harder to be in your life. This is her way of making up for lost time. I met Rachel 2 days later at a coffee shop. She was in her mid-40s, with David's eyes and an easy smile. She didn't hug me or try to act like we'd known each other forever. She just shook my hand and bought me a latte. David told me what happened, she said. I'm sorry. That's a lot to deal with at 17. Yeah. I'm not going to pretend I know what you're going through, she said. But I do know what it's like to feel like your family isn't what you thought it was. Different circumstances, but the feeling's the same. What happened to you? Found out my dad wasn't my biological father when I was 25, she said. Turns out my mom had an affair. My dad knew, raised me anyway, never told me. I only found out because I did one of those DNA tests for fun. How did you handle it? Not well at first, she admitted. I was angry, felt betrayed, but eventually I realized that biology doesn't define family. The man who raised me was still my dad. The man who contributed DNA was just a stranger. You get to decide what family means to you. We talked for an hour. She told me about her house, her 2 cats, her job teaching middle school English. She said I could stay as long as I needed, no strings attached. If I wanted to talk, she'd listen. If I wanted space, she'd give it to me. "Why are you doing this?" I asked. "Because David's my brother, and you're his daughter," she said. "That makes you my niece, and family shows up." I moved in the next day. Rachel's house was small but comfortable. The guest room had a bed, a desk, and a window that looked out onto a backyard with a big oak tree. It felt temporary and safe at the same time. Mom called that night. I let it go to voicemail. She called again an hour later. This time I answered. "Audrey," she said, and I could hear she'd been crying. "Please come home." "I can't. We can work through this, as a family." "We're not a family, Mom. We're 3 people who lived in the same house and lied to each other for 17 years. That's not fair, isn't it?" I sat down on the bed in Rachel's guest room. "You lied about who my father was. Tom resented me my entire childhood, and I spent 17 years thinking I was the problem. How is that a family?" "I was trying to protect you." "You were trying to protect yourself," I said. "You didn't want to deal with the mess you made, so you buried it and hoped it would go away. But it didn't go away. It just got worse." She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "You're right." I hadn't expected that. "I was selfish," she continued. "I made choices that were easier for me, and I told myself I was doing it for you. But I wasn't. I was doing it because I was scared and ashamed, and I didn't want to face what I'd done." "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because you deserve the truth. All of it. Not just the facts, but the reasons behind them." She took a shaky breath. "I loved Tom. I still do. But I was never in love with David, and that made it easier to push him away. I convinced myself that you'd be better off with a stable home and a father who was present, even if he wasn't your biological father. I didn't realize until it was too late that Tom couldn't get past the betrayal, and by then, I was in too deep to admit I'd made a mistake. You should have told me." "I know. I should have told you when you were old enough to understand. I should have let David be part of your life. I should have done a lot of things differently." Her voice cracked. "But I can't go back and change it. All I can do is apologize and hope that someday you'll be able to forgive me." "I don't know if I can." "I understand." We sat in silence for a moment. Then I asked, "Does Tom regret it? Staying?" "I don't know," she said honestly. "He won't talk about it. He's been sleeping in the guest room since you left. I think he's ashamed." "He should be." "He should," she agreed. "But shame doesn't fix anything. It just makes people hide." After we hung up, I sat in the dark for a while. Rachel knocked softly on the door. "You okay?" she asked. "I don't know." She came in and sat on the edge of the bed. "You don't have to know. You just have to keep going." "How?" "One day at a time," she said. "Some days you'll be angry. Some days you'll be sad. Some days you'll feel okay. And that's all normal." "Does it get easier?" "Eventually," she said. "But not in a straight line. It's more like waves. Some days the water's calm, and some days it knocks you over. But you learn to swim." David came by the next evening. He brought takeout and asked if I wanted to watch a movie. We sat on Rachel's couch and ate Chinese food and watched something forgettable on Netflix. It felt normal. Weirdly, impossibly normal. "Thank you," I said when he was getting ready to leave. "For what?" "For not trying to be my dad right away. For just being here." He smiled. "I've waited 17 years. I can wait a little longer." After he left, Rachel made tea and we sat at the kitchen table. "He's a good guy," she said. "Yeah. He's been beating himself up for years, wondering if he made the right choice, staying away, wondering if you'd hate him when you found out." "I don't hate him." "I know, but he didn't know that. He was terrified you'd blame him for not fighting harder." "I did at first," I admitted. But the more I think about it, the more I realize there were no good choices. Just bad ones and worse ones. That's very mature of you. I don't feel mature. I feel like a kid whose life just exploded. You can be both, Rachel said. You can be mature enough to understand the complexity and still be hurt by it. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. I wrapped my hands around the mug of tea. It was chamomile, the kind my mom used to make when I couldn't sleep. Do you think I'll ever be able to go home? I asked. I think you'll be able to see your mom again, Rachel said. Whether that house ever feels like home again, I don't know. But you'll figure it out. That night, lying in bed in a house that wasn't mine, in a room that wasn't mine, with a family I was just starting to know, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Safe. Not happy. Not healed. But safe. And for now, that was enough. I went back to school the following Monday. I'd missed a week, and my teachers were understanding when I said there'd been a family emergency. They didn't ask for details. My friends were less subtle. Where have you been? Jenna asked at lunch. She already knew, but Maya and Sophie were staring at me like I'd come back from the dead. Family stuff, I said. What kind of family stuff? Maya asked. I looked at Jenna. She gave me a small nod, like she was saying it was okay to tell them or not tell them, whatever I needed. I found out my dad isn't my biological father, I said, and I met my real father for the first time. The table went quiet. Wait, what? Sophie said. So I told them. Not everything, but enough. The birthday dinner, David, the photos, the lies. By the time I finished, Maya looked like she wanted to cry, and Sophie looked angry on my behalf. That's insane, Maya said. Your mom just lied to you your whole life? Pretty much. And your dad, Tom, he just went along with it? He knew. He's known since I was 2. Sophie shook her head. I can't believe they did that to you. Yeah, well, they did. Where are you staying? Maya asked. With my biological father's sister. She has a guest room. Are you ever going back home? I don't know, I said honestly. Right now, I can't even think about it. The rest of the day was strange. People looked at me differently, like they could tell something had changed but couldn't figure out what. I caught a few whispers in the hallway, and I knew the story was spreading. Small town, big news. I didn't care. Let them talk. That night, David called. How was school? He asked. Weird, but okay. Good. He paused. I wanted to ask you something. My parents, your grandparents, they'd like to meet you. No pressure, but they've known about you for years, and they've been waiting for this. They knew about me? I told them when I found out. They wanted to be part of your life, but I asked them to wait. I didn't want to overwhelm you or make things more complicated with your mom. And now? Now you know the truth, and they'd like to meet you, if you're ready. I thought about it. More family, more people I didn't know, more complications, but also more people who'd wanted to know me, who'd been waiting. Okay, I said. When? This weekend? We could do lunch. Somewhere neutral, not their house, just so it's not too intense. Okay. Saturday came faster than I expected. David picked me up from Rachel's house, and we drove to a restaurant on the edge of town. I was nervous. My hands were shaking. They're going to love you, David said. You don't know that. I do. They've been waiting 17 years for this. The restaurant was busy, but David spotted them right away. An older couple in a booth by the window. The woman had gray hair and David's eyes. The man was tall, with a kind face. When they saw us, the woman stood up. She looked at me, and her eyes filled with tears. Audrey, she said, and her voice broke. Hi, I said, because I didn't know what else to say. She didn't hug me, even though I could tell she wanted to. She just reached out and touched my hand. You look so much like your father, she said, and like me, a little, around the eyes. We sat down. David's father, my grandfather, shook my hand formally. It's good to finally meet you, he said. We've heard a lot about you over the years. You have? David kept us updated, my grandmother said. He'd tell us about your soccer games, your school concerts, everything he could find out. We have a whole album of photos he took. That's not creepy at all, I said, and then immediately regretted it. But my grandfather laughed. It is a little creepy, but it's also love. Sometimes those things overlap. We ordered food. The conversation was awkward at first, but it got easier. They asked about school, my friends, what I wanted to do after graduation. They didn't ask about my mom or Tom. They didn't push. My grandmother told me about David as a kid, how he'd been stubborn and loyal and terrible at math, how he'd worked 3 jobs to put himself through community college, how he'd called her crying the day he found out I existed. He wanted to be part of your life so badly, she said. It broke his heart when your mother said no. Why didn't you fight it? I asked. You could have helped him get a lawyer, take her to court. My grandfather sighed. We wanted to, but David asked us not to. He said he didn't want to put you in the middle of a war. He thought it would hurt you more than help you. So you just accepted it? We didn't accept it, my grandmother said. We hated it, but we respected his choice, and we waited. We prayed you'd find out someday, and that when you did, you'd give us a chance. And here I am. Here you are, she said, smiling through tears. After lunch, my grandmother asked if she could give me something. She pulled a small box out of her purse. This was mine when I was your age, she said. I've been saving it for you. Inside was a silver bracelet, delicate and old. You don't have to wear it, she said quickly. I just wanted you to have it. So you know you're part of this family. You always have been, even when we couldn't be there. I put it on. It fit perfectly. Thank you, I said, and I meant it. When David drove me back to Rachel's, I was exhausted, but it was a good kind of exhausted. They really like you, he said. I really like them too. Does it feel weird, having a whole other family? Yeah, I admitted, but also kind of nice, like I've been missing something my whole life, and I didn't even know it. You have been missing something, David said, and I'm sorry for that, but we're here now, all of us. That night, I looked at the bracelet on my wrist. It caught the light, delicate and real. I thought about my grandmother's face when she saw me, the way she'd touched my hand like she was afraid I'd disappear, the way my grandfather had laughed at my creepy comment, the way David had looked at me across the table, proud and nervous and hopeful. I thought about the family I'd grown up with, the one that had tolerated me but never quite loved me, the one built on lies and resentment. And I thought about this new family, the one that had been waiting in the wings for 17 years, the one that wanted me, not out of obligation, but out of choice. I didn't know what the future looked like. I didn't know if I'd ever be able to forgive my mom, or if Tom would ever apologize, or if I'd ever feel at home in that house again. But I knew I wasn't alone anymore, and that was something. 3 weeks later, Thanksgiving was coming. Mom had been texting me every few days. Nothing pushy, just small updates. Kyle missed me. She'd made my favorite cookies. Tom had moved back into their bedroom. I didn't respond to most of them, but I read every one. Then, a week before Thanksgiving, she called. I know you're not ready to come home, she said, but I was hoping we could meet, just the 2 of us. Coffee, maybe? I thought about saying no. It would be easier, but easier wasn't always better. Okay, I said, but not at the house. Wherever you want. We met at the coffee shop downtown on a gray Wednesday afternoon. Mom was already there when I arrived, sitting at a corner table with 2 cups in front of her. She'd ordered my usual. She looked smaller than I remembered, tired. Hi, she said when I sat down. Hi. We sat in silence for a moment. Then she said, I'm not going to make excuses. I'm not going to tell you I did the best I could, because I didn't. I did what was easiest for me, and I told myself it was for you. Okay. I was 23 when I got pregnant. I was scared. Tom was safe and stable, and David was young and unpredictable. I chose safety, And then I spent 17 years trying to make that choice work, even when it was clear it wasn't working. Why didn't you just tell me? Because I was ashamed, she said, and because the longer I waited, the harder it got. By the time you were old enough to understand, I'd been lying for so long that the truth felt impossible. It wasn't impossible, you just didn't want to deal with it. You're right. She looked down at her coffee. I know I can't fix this. I know I can't take back the years you spent feeling like you weren't good enough. But I want you to know that it was never about you. You were always enough. I was the one who wasn't. I didn't know what to say to that. Tom wants to apologize, she said. He's not good at it, but he wants to try. I don't want to hear it. I understand. Do you? I leaned forward. He raised me for 17 years, and he couldn't love me. That's not something an apology fixes. No, it's not. She met my eyes. But maybe someday you'll be ready to hear it anyway. Not for him. For you. We talked for another hour. She told me about Kyle, about how he kept asking when I was coming home. She told me about work, about the house, about the small things that made up her days. She didn't ask me to come back. She didn't ask me to forgive her. She just talked, and I listened. When we were getting ready to leave, she said, "Are you spending Thanksgiving with David?" "Yeah. He invited me to his parents' house." She nodded. "Good. I'm glad you have them." "Are you?" "I am," she said. "I know I fought to keep him away, but I was wrong. You deserve to know your father. Both of them, even if one of them doesn't deserve you." It was the most honest thing she'd said all afternoon. Thanksgiving Day was cold and clear. David picked me up in the morning, and we drove to his parents' house. It was small, decorated with fall leaves and pumpkins. Inside, it smelled like turkey and pie. My grandmother hugged me when I walked in. My grandfather shook my hand and then pulled me into a hug, too. Rachel was there, and David's cousin Emma, who was 19 and studying nursing. It was small, just 6 of us around a table that had seen better days. But it was warm. We ate too much food and told stories. My grandmother showed me photos of David as a kid, and Rachel told embarrassing stories that made him turn red. Emma asked me about school and told me about college. It felt like family. Not the family I'd grown up with, but family nonetheless. After dinner, David asked if anyone wanted to say grace. It was late for grace, but no one seemed to mind. My grandmother started. She thanked God for the food, for the family, for the chance to finally have me at the table. Then my grandfather, then Rachel, then Emma. When it was my turn, I didn't know what to say. But then I looked around the table at these people who'd been waiting for me, who'd made space for me, who'd chosen me. "I'm thankful for second chances," I said, "and for people who don't give up." David was last. He looked at me across the table, and his voice was thick when he spoke. "I'm thankful for my daughter," he said, "and for the chance to finally know her." My grandmother cried. My grandfather squeezed her hand, and I felt something in my chest loosen, just a little. Later, when it was time to leave, my grandmother walked me to the door. "You're welcome here any time," she said. "This is your home too, if you want it to be." "Thank you." "And Audrey?" She touched my cheek gently. "I know this is hard. I know you're angry and hurt and confused, but you're going to be okay. You're stronger than you know." I drove back to Rachel's house alone. David had offered to drive me, but I wanted the space to think. The roads were empty. Most people were home with their families, full of turkey and pie and the comfortable weight of tradition. I thought about the family I'd left behind, Mom and Tom and Kyle, sitting around a table that was missing a chair. I wondered if they'd said grace. I wondered if they'd talked about me. I thought about the family I'd found, David and his parents and Rachel and Emma, people who'd been waiting in the wings, ready to step in when I finally knew they existed. And I thought about myself, about the girl I'd been 3 weeks ago, sitting at a birthday dinner, believing she knew who she was. And the girl I was now, driving through the dark, still figuring it out. I didn't have all the answers. I didn't know if I'd ever be able to forgive my mom completely, or if Tom would ever really apologize, or if I'd ever feel at home in that house again. But I knew I had choices now. I knew I had people who wanted me, not out of obligation, but because they'd chosen to love me. And I knew that the headlights cutting through the dark ahead of me were mine to control. I didn't know where I was going yet, but for the first time in my life, I was the one deciding the direction, and that was enough.